Good morning and welcome back. The break is over. So how was the break?
It's good to have teachings again.
So it's not like, teaching started. It's not like that, is it? Okay, that's good. And let's talk about our assignments. I remember giving you some assignments. Don't think that I've forgotten. Okay, how was it? Were you able to do it? Did you try? Yes, please.
Easy.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. After about the third day I realized there was only a couple of things that were
Okay,
checked
good.
off all the way down. The rest-
Okay, good. So at least
real focus on culture.
So you notice the pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's very good. That's the one of the goal, one of the purposes. So that when you see the pattern, then at least you know that where you are prone to engaging in negative karma, especially in terms of the 10 non-virtue. And then, yeah, of course, we should not leave it there. Oh, okay, there's a pattern. Let's go about our life. That's not the.
It's deceptive too, because I mean, clearly, if the column was checked off for killing all the way down, it would be kind of obvious. But you get to some of them, and it's like, oh wait, this is this one. I didn't realize that all these years I was doing this.
Okay, that's very good. That's very good. That's very good.
First, and then all of a sudden I was like,
Okay.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. So the purpose is, the next year when we do this, we shouldn't be seeing anything. There's no pattern at all. Everything clean. That's the goal.
Rinpoche, when I took 2 journeys on the road, and you can't help it, but you kill bugs. You know, they hit the car. You know, and it's like, yeah, well, that means that maybe I should ride a bike, or you know, maybe I should not travel very far or something. So, you know, you wonder sometimes. But the key is that the completion of the karma, that all the aspects aren't in place. They don't accumulate as much.
Yeah, of course, when we talk about complete karma, all these 4 components need to be present. So one of them is the intention. So when you drive on the road, you have no intention, and also you don't really what you call the recognize whatever the object. So it's lighter, not too bad. But sometimes when you see a mosquito there, that's real killing. That's we with intention we're doing that.
One of the trips to China we took, we were on a small guided tour,
Mm.
and the driver kept slowing down, speed up. They'd slow down and speed up, and everybody was looking around what's going on. And I looked, if I looked, and we were following a truck that had beehives on it, and they were hitting the windshield, and it was awful. They were all over the place, and he was clearly very upset. He didn't know what to do, because I think if he was by himself, he would just pull off the side of the road, but he kept trying to fall farther and farther back so he wouldn't do that. But he was very, very visibly upset that he was doing it.
There was when I walked from my car to the door of my building where I work, on the sidewalk, not on the parking lot, but on the sidewalk, there's a lot of ants, and it's I've noticed that I try to do my best, and it's like I've been having, thoughts about, about the ants like I would as a sentient being. So that was good, but I've had to get rid of weeds, tall weeds and grasses at my house, and I'm under a deadline because the city has given me no choice. And when I pull things and there are nests of ants and they're on me, it's like instinctively I just kind of So that was again that's something to work on. But the rest, my patterns was that there's attachment and anger, but the anger I've been working on for a long time, and it's gotten a lot better. But the attachment is like I'm really noticing it, in all kinds of areas, that. So now I'm saying, oh, okay, that's two, It's like kind of, like he said, it's kind of. So that was the attachment is my most predominant one that I've noticed. So now I'm, once you know it, you kind of, you say, okay, so you cannot unknow it. You still do it, because it's the force, and then and eventually you notice how it doesn't give you any pleasure anymore because you have a conflict. And so that's how you begin to say, well, let that one go. It's like it doesn't give you any, just go because it's the karma. I know that. So, but it was useful. Thank you.
Anyone? Yes.
In a way, a little backwards. Sometimes when I would get upset, I would notice that it was all because of attachment. Instead of identifying attachment right away, it was like I can almost always look at it, and all the issues come from attachment.
Okay, thank you very much. That's very encouraging to hear. Because I give you an assignment and you could have just stored it somewhere else, and then before class, where did I put that piece of paper? And you could have chosen not to do anything about it, but obviously you took it seriously. So that's very encouraging. I get inspired. And I thought, okay, good. We are going somewhere, getting somewhere. So that's very good. Thank you very much. And we of course the ideal is to do that on daily basis. And I think emphasized that several times. For us, we are monks. We took vows until until at least in this life, until we die, we will not engage in this and this and this and that. So when we don't engage in that, we get the merit of abstaining from these misdeeds. So whereas lay people, you don't take that vow. So when you take that vow, and even if you don't engage in these misdeeds, you don't get the merit from refraining from these negative actions. So it is very good to do or to kind of make the commitment on daily basis. Every morning, make this pledge or the commitment or determination that today I will not engage in 10 non-virtuous actions. Or if you are not very sure of certain negative actions that you may or you may not be able to, then you can just specify, today I will refrain myself from committing this and this and this and this and that. And then by the end of the day, if you have consciously or you have without any conscious effort, if you have stayed away from these negativities, you at least have achieved that merit. So that is the way to do. But many people don't realize that there is this key element, key factor, that you have to consciously make this mindset to abstain from non-virtue. So that's important. So try to do that on daily basis, every morning, and then of course the best is by night time before going to bed, if you are able to kind of check on your day. This morning I have made these commitments. Was I able to abide by that commitment? Was I good in making or fulfilling that commitment? So if you realize that you have committed something, then you kind of have a regret, and then make a stronger determination that, okay, tomorrow I will make sure that I will not repeat this. But if you find that you have really followed through, you have not committed any negative actions, then rejoice. That will multiply your merit. Just rejoicing, oh, it's so great that I was able to do that. But rejoice, we will later talk about. Rejoice is to help encourage ourselves, inspire ourselves to do more, but it should not go towards inflating our ego. If I'm so great, I'm free of all this. If it goes towards inflating your ego, then of course it is kind of a countervailing. Yeah. So if you find that you have really followed through, rejoice in your merit, rejoice in your effort, and then make stronger prayer that may I be able to do more or better tomorrow or in the future. So that's how we progress, keep our practice. We progress in our spiritual journey, or to keep our practice getting better and better. So anyway, thank you very much for trying. And today is the day of the turning of the wheel of Dharma. Everybody knows the significance. When Buddha, the Sagadawa day, when Buddha achieved enlightenment, Buddha did not teach straight away. Buddha remained silent for 49 days, the common agreement. Of course, there is some debate on when Buddha really taught, or when Buddha really turned the wheel of Dharma. So, but the common agreement is that today was the day Buddha started to teach, when Buddha turned the first sermon or the first wheel of Dharma. So what happened was, when Buddha achieved enlightenment, Buddha realized that what he has achieved is something completely different from the ways of people. It is more like an abnormal behavior. So I think Buddha's advice and way of doing will be kind of deviant from the norm. So that's why Buddha felt that no point. I think it is too profound, people won't understand, so I better remain silent. That is the one reason. Another reason is, even in Vinaya Sutra, there is this saying that teachers need to be requested to teach. Teacher will say, okay, come, I'm going to teach you. You cannot do that. People must show interest. People must request to teach. Only then Lama can teach. So, of course, nobody knew at that time that Buddha was Buddha. But of course, the Devas, Indra and Brahma and all this, they all knew that Buddha have achieved enlightenment. So they came and made repeated requests to teach, for the sake of, especially for the people dwelling in the earth realm and also to Deva realm and all. Only after that, then Buddha decided to teach, and then Buddha walked to Sarnath, Varanasi, where the first teaching, and then taught the first Four Noble Truths, the teachings on the Four Noble Truths. So in Tibetan tradition, as well as I think in all Buddhist tradition, we try to do virtue on these special days. So it is normally said that one will achieve the merit multiplies, and one will achieve, even though one accumulate one merit, but one will achieve the merit of doing 1,000 times, or even say 1,000,000 times. Because of that, many people really grab these significant days and then maximize their practice. And I read in Geshe Soba's book where he explains why on these special days merits multiply. One reason is that during Buddha's time, there are many protectors and devas. They made all kinds of pledges, and one of the four kings, they made the pledge that we will protect those who practice, and especially on these special days. So what happened is, every now and then these protectors or these guardians, they will go and see whether people are doing any virtue or not. So especially it is said on these special days, they will go and kind of check whether people in this, the humans are whether practicing or not. And it is said that when they go, normally other devas will also follow to see. And what happens is, when they come to see, they see that people are really doing their best. They are engaging in all kinds of virtuous practices. So when they see that, they rejoice. And then they go to their own realm and share the news, that good news, that on earth human beings are really doing lots of merits, and then others also rejoice in that merit. And then the news kind of spreads, and in the end all the devas, they rejoice in our merit. So they also achieve that merit. Because of that, it is said that it is so meritorious to specially focus on these special days. That is one reason.
Which book is this?
Geshe Soba's Lamrim Chemo commentary.
Which
The first I think it's also in the first volume. Also, I think there's another in second volume. He explains twice. That's one reason. Second, we are all, not me now, so all of you are working people. We are so busy, especially those in the West. Time is so precious. Even if we want to spend time doing practices, there is no time. So when there is no time, and it is wise to grab those opportunities where if you just do one and it multiplies. What is better way than grabbing on these special days to do practices? And today happened to be our first class. I didn't plan, and I planned according to the calendar, and later I realized, hey, that coincides with this special day. So it's very good, auspicious. That's just a preliminary, and now we are going to discuss on the real topic. Remember where we stopped? Let me test you. Where did we stop last time?
My notes leave off at arranging the altar.
Yeah, we finished the second one.
Okay.
What is the first one? Do you recall? The first of the six. Cleaning. Remember, cleaning the room and arranging the representations of Buddha's body, speech, and mind. So I am thinking of doing this practice next Sunday. The first part maybe, or we will see how it goes. You can bring your offerings. If you have water ball sets, that's very good. If you have, then bring. If not, we can arrange those plastic ones, and then we will try to follow this one. Of course, we are not going to vacuum the place, but we will use the table as our altar. Then we practice setting up the altar. You don't have to bring, but at least I just want you to know how to set up the altar. And then we do the water balls, and followed by other practices. That's the plan.
Do we bring a picture or?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, if it is not too much of an inconvenience, then bring. We will kind of practice that. And then the second one is obtaining offerings without deceit and arranging them beautifully. So you can bring your offerings, whatever offerings you have. Water ball, of course, that is going to be the main one. And then you can bring flowers, you can bring incense, even those tea lights. If not, we can use, I think Anthony has here. We can use Anthony's one. So we have covered the first two. And then, today we are going to talk about adopting the 7-feature sitting posture. So let's okay. So the third preparatory practice is the sitting posture. In Tibetan Buddhism, especially Tibetan Buddhism, there's so much focus on this. And especially if you are, I think there are benefits from the tantric perspective. So when you are doing these daily meditations, there are special significance and special benefits. I don't know, and I won't go into detail. So generally, when we do meditation, we need to adopt this 7-featured sitting position, or sometimes called 8 posture. That's the sitting position. And then, of course, the third one is not just the sitting position, adopting this right sitting posture, and then taking refuge and generating bodhicitta mindset. That is the third one. So there is a stanza to summarize these 8 sitting positions, which is called the sitting position of Buddha Vairochana. Of course, all Buddhas sit in that position, but why we call this Vairochana position is because Vairochana is the purified aspects of form body. So that's why we refer this position as the sitting positions of Buddha Vairochana. So it says that it is easier if you remember this. So in Tibetan it says Kangba Lawa Kebasum Soju Chenam Dombe Shi Gomik Tawa Udani Namba Nangze Chögeyins. In English translation, they have translated as the legs, the hands, and spine make 3. So they are counting the 8. Brought to 4 by teeth, lips, and tongue. So count these 3 as 1. So that makes 4. And then the head, eyes, shoulders, plus the breath are 4. So these are the 8 practices of Vairochana. So the first, the leg. So legs they call it sometimes called lotus position, sometimes called Vajra posture. So it is actually, we all know that this is the one. Let me show you. The first one, where you place your feet on the opposite thigh. So that is not easy to do, but it is said that it is very beneficial. This really helps to maintain your spine straight, and especially if you are going to do meditation for long periods of time. This is the ideal position. But of course, if you are not used to, it is very hard. I cannot do that. 5 minutes, too painful. So I always use the half. That is this normal, the sitting one. But of course, you can learn how to do. How many of you sit in this position?
Not for long.
Full.
Not for long.
Okay. So that's if you can, that's the best posture. I mean the leg position, to have the full lotus or the full Vajra posture. If not, then half. If you cannot do that, of course we know that it is to adopt the most comfortable posture, whatever you find comfortable. If you have knee problem, all this, of course you cannot do that. So the important thing is that we want to be comfortable when we are doing meditation. So that's how the leg should be, and then the spine should be upright. The examples they give, analogy they give, is like the way you stack the coins. It should be really straight. And Sangdo Rinpoche says that the way to test whether your spine is straight or not is you use this hand and then you touch at the thigh here, and I think it's like this story out here. And if you are able to close the gap, if there's no gap and if you are able to touch that, that means your spine is straight.
I can't see. What are you doing?
This.
The way it's doing, you just touch these two to your side thigh here. I think it's somewhere here at your hips, over your hips, and see whether you can really touch this here. There shouldn't be any gaps. If there is gap, then it means your spine is not straight. But of course, that becomes like more like this kind. We normally don't really sit, but that is supposed to be the way to measure that whether your spine is straight. So the most important thing is not like this, but straight. It is said that when you straighten your spine, and we remember in Tantra there's something called the central channel and then 2 parallel channels, so they get straightened. When they are straight, the wind flows better. When wind flows better, of course your mind is clearer. All these minds run on these channels, wind channels. So when there is what you call smooth flow of wind in your channel, then your mind works better, functions better. And then the head's slightly bent forward. When you do like this, it is said that it is too easy to distract. It is too prone for distraction. So you should not let raise your head too high. Instead, kind of little bit like a bit bent, not too much, but slightly bent forward. And then the hands. Normally we say that in the meditation gesture. Your right hand on top of your left hand. And then, of course, nowadays they say that you can also place your hands on your knees. So whichever is comfortable. And then shoulders must be level, not like one side down, this side down, not slouching, but straight or level. And then mouth and teeth, it says leave it at natural position. Don't try to, try to close or try to open, but let it be at the natural position. And normally it says the tip of the tongue should rest gently on the upper palate. That there is this benefit that if you do that, it will avoid what you call drooling, and also it will prevent thirst. If you have to do a long period of meditation, then it will help to reduce thirst. Then eyes should be almost closed. So there are different traditions. Some say that it is better to close your eyes. But the Tibetan tradition is that you should not close your eyes. You should open gently, and then when your eyes should be looking in front of you, not too far, but they said that you lower your eye gaze on the tip of your nose. Some say that you should be seeing the shoulders of your nose, some say the tip of the nose. So whichever is convenient, but you shouldn't be gazing too far, but just lower, and then gently half open. If you open too much, then there is a distraction. So that's the 7 features or the 7 postures that is recommended. And then sometimes they add on top of the 7, there is something called the 8th feature, which is the breathing. So these are some examples of a posture: full, half. This is Burmese style. You can still sit like this, do this. Then, of course, on a chair. So the last, number 8, is counting one's breath. The purpose, of course, nowadays in secular practice, the meditation on the breath becomes the main meditation. But in actual practice, this is a technique to change non-virtuous mental state into a neutral one. So if your mind is so agitated, let's say if you're so angry and if you sit down and try to meditate, no way you will be able to do the meditation. So we need to convert that agitated mental state to a neutral one. Only then we will be able to do purposeful or meaningful meditation. Otherwise, your mind will be all over the place. So this is the way. This is similar to where they dye cloth. In order to dye a cloth effectively, the color need to be a neutral, the white. If you have already a colored cloth and if you try to change that into another color, it is very difficult. But if it is white, if it's a neutral, then it is, you can change, you can dye to any color. So likewise, before we start the meditation, we need to start the meditation with a positive attitude, positive mental state. But if your mind is not in a positive mental state, and instead it is in non-virtue like anger, something else, agitated mental state, then it is very difficult to set a virtuous mental state. So in order to in order to counter that, we do this counting of the breath. Our ordinary mind, it can only focus on one object at a time. So if you are thinking of something else, you will forget. You will be distracted. So it is like normally the kids, when kids cry and when they throw tantrum, what we do normally, we give a toffee or something. Oh yeah, there's a toffee. And suddenly the kid forgets about why he was crying. He stops immediately and he grabs that one. So likewise, when we focus or direct our mind on this breathing, then we forget that whatever thing that is causing this agitation. So that's the main purpose of doing the counting of our breath. But nowadays, that's the main practice. So how do we do that? That's easy. So you just focus your mind on your breath and then count. As you breathe in, breathe out, count as one. If you are alone, you can go 1, 2. But if you are with other people, you just count silently. Mentally count. So breathe in, breathe out 1. So you can do this 10 times, 20 times, 21 times, as long as it requires you to calm your mind. Only then you start doing meditation. And then there is another practice that this is more of a tantric practice, which I think it is very beneficial. Beneficial in terms of, I don't know about the spiritual, of course there is definitely there is benefits. But in terms of health-wise, I think it is very beneficial. And when I was in Atlanta, I did that almost every day. And I didn't get flu the 2 years in Atlanta. And I attribute that to this. It may be, it may not be. But when I got here, I didn't do it. Now I was down with flu. So of course, this may be, it may not be the case. But what we do, I think some of you may be familiar. So you first do this. Hold your this from here. Or you get, sorry, it's put on your knees. Place this on your knees, and then you pull up. As you pull up, you have to breathe in. And then I think this way, this is to your right. Bring here, put this underneath, and then bring this hand, put here. Then breathe in from here, because you have closed this. Breathe 3 times. I normally blow my nose before I do that. So there's one, and then again. Now this time, go this way, and then this side. Now breathe from both. Yeah, so 3 times. So it's called the 9 rounds of breathing. So before you start your meditation, if you do that, I find that quite helpful. So that's one way to do. So you got it? Want to try? Okay. Let's go. Okay. 1. No, you have to. I think you cannot see me. You have to really push in a way that you are pressing, but you are pushing. Try to take as deep as possible. That's good. Okay. Next round. You see, you already feel better, don't you?
Question. When you do the breathing in and out, do you do the breathing in and then you out of the other way? Or
Yeah,
you do,
out of the other way.
okay.
So when you do this,
Right.
and then you let out from this one.
And then how do you finish it?
And then when you finish this, you bring down, and then you start again. But the last one when you breathe from both, you don't have to bring your hand. You just put your hand there, and then yeah.
So you do it 3 times, no, 2 times with the arms, and then the third one
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Okay.
Is there a difference between the ring finger and the...
Doesn't matter. I think mainly is it's block. So you can either use this way to go, or you can even use your thumb. I don't think it has any difference. Whichever is more comfortable. So that's the counting one's breath, mainly to neutralize our mind, so that it can generate a positive mindset. So once you have done that, so now you have finished sitting down with the right posture, and then you have already neutralized your mind, and now begins with a refuge practice. So we have already covered this topic, and I think you have all the information you need. But basically, why do we need to take refuge? Why do we need to take refuge? It's because...
You want us to answer?
Because... Okay. I'll let you answer first.
Oh, okay.
Why do we need to take refuge?
Because we need help. And the 3 jewels are our source of protection and refuge. They they are the three jewels who protect us and help us in our practice.
Yeah.
It's also the foundation. We're going to the foundation. We're eliminating all these other things and we concentrate to this one. This is what we do, not the rest.
Yeah. So it is basically same. Just to elaborate on that. So from the Buddhist perspective, so we are all Buddhists, so let's say. So we have taken so many lives, numberless life, countless life. There is not a single life I think, that we have not taken. One time we have experienced or we have enjoyed the life of kings and queens or prince. One time we have experienced the suffering of hell beings. We were born in hell realms. We have become leaders of great nations. We are born in Deva realms. We have even achieved what we call Samadhi and all that. So there was a lot of fluctuation in our rebirths. We have taken one time we are so low, but another time we are up there. But no matter how many times we circle within that samsara. We were not able to go beyond that. Even though we wanted to get out of this existence, cyclic existence, and we thought that we were putting effort towards that, because we are all driven by this wanting to be happy and not wanting to be unhappy and experience miseries. But all our effort ended up just in that circle. We were never able to go beyond that. That's why we are still here. And if we don't do anything, we will circle more. And at the moment, we are very lucky in many ways. We are very fortunate in many ways. Unlike the previous lives when we were born in lower realms. We were very fortunate this time. Not only we have achieved human rebirth, but we have all the mental faculties and abilities, what we call the inside and our inner and external facilities. We have achieved all that facilities to practice. But this life, not only that we have met Dharma, it is very rare. And then Dharma, there are different Dharma, but we have met Mahayana. And we have met teachers, great teachers. So there is all the facility and we have all the external facilities. If we are to put effort, it is possible to achieve even enlightenment, if not nirvana, if not even the human rebirth in next life. And this life won't last forever. There has been drastic changes in our life, but we don't realize, because all these changes occurred in a very sneaky way. One time we were just infant, where our communication to the outside world is only through crying. But now we can articulate abstract concepts. We can give lectures, we can scold our children in a lengthy way. And for Asian people, Asian parents, let's put it, they can now slap their children, is that 7 ways to Sunday? But you see that this radical changes, but we never realize. One time we are just toddlers, now we are grown. We are parents, we are some of us even grandparents. But we didn't really notice these changes. So it's happening. And if we continue, while we are talking, this change is happening. Aging is happening. Then, when the time comes, we don't know. So that's why we need to do something. We need to do something different. Remember the Einstein's word? Insanity defined as doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different result. That's what we have been doing. So this time we must wake up and then do something different. So that's why we need to take refuge. Buddha is the only one who has gone beyond that, who has found the way, who has taken the journey to that unknown destination. So even in our conventional sense, if we need to get to a place unknown to us, we need to seek someone's help who has been there. And of course we have discussed about Buddha, not only that he has been to the place, but he has all the skillful means to help us lead there. And not only that, he has no biases. He has compassion to all. Whether you are relative or not relative, whether you are enemy or stranger, Buddha has no discrimination. Buddha will help. And then whether you do favor or not, whether you make offerings to Buddha or not, it doesn't matter, Buddha will still help. So that's why we need to take refuge. So this is where once you have finished reading this, not just saying the words, first you have to think through, especially contemplate on the sufferings in general, the suffering of samsara in general, and then specific sufferings of the three lower ends. And then once you have some kind of sensation, some kind of feeling of these sufferings, then you kind of direct your focus on other sentient beings. Like me, they are also in the same boat. They are also going through all these sufferings. And then for that, I will take refuge. I will go for refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And normally we have this in Tibetan practice, we see this, I take refuge in the Guru. But in other tradition you won't see that. But it is because that Buddha has once come and taught and gone. We didn't have the fortune to meet Buddha in that form, Nirmanakaya form. But Buddha comes in many forms because Buddha's main purpose is to help sentient beings. So from the strictly speaking from the Lamrim practice, Buddhas are kind of a manifestation of Buddhas. So because they cannot appear in that their Nirmanakaya form, they have to come or appear in another form that we can have access. So that's why the teachers come. So that's why our gurus are like a if you cannot imagine that as a Buddha himself, but as a messenger. Guru is the one who passes the message, Buddha's message. So that's why we include that. That is the main one. Because whatever realization we are going to achieve, it is through Guru. Without that, no achievements. So that's why in Tibetan practice there is always I take refuge in the Guru. Then once you have the refuge, you have this strong faith in Buddha. So all this saying is one thing, but you need to have some feeling inside. You have to generate this faith that, oh, these are the real refuge, these are the real saviors, that if I take refuge in them, they can save me, they can really lead me to Buddhahood. So you need to have that kind of strong faith. With that faith, then we generate a bodhicitta. So first, of course, you have to contemplate your own suffering, the way you are suffering, and then you direct that towards other sentient beings. Others are like me, and I have the responsibility. And then you say, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from misery and the causes of misery. May all sentient beings never be separated from happiness devoid of misery. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from biases of attachments and aversion. And then you can go further. This is all generating that motivation. So now you do this practice, what is known as the 4 immeasurables. So it begins with equanimity. If you really think and analyze why we suffer, it is all because of this discriminating thoughts of anger and attachment, this bias view. We have this biased view of attachment towards those whom we classify as our friends. And then we have this aversion towards those whom we view as people with difficulty. And then, of course, we kind of show indifference to those who has nothing to do with us. So these two, mainly these two, the attachment and the aversion, are the causes of all the sufferings. So we say that how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were to abide in equanimity. So here the equanimity is free from this discriminating thoughts. When people don't have this biased view, this prejudice of treating somebody special over another, that would be wonderful, isn't it? Then we will never have these hatred crimes. Remember, just yesterday there was this shooting incident. They say that it is a hate crime. So if everybody were able to abide in equanimity, we wouldn't have any violence. How wonderful that is. So you say how wonderful, you really wish that, and then also make the prayer, may they abide in equanimity. And then you take responsibility. I myself will cause them to abide in equanimity. And then you also request your Guru Buddha to bless you to achieve that. And then you move on to the love. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings had happiness and its causes. If everybody is happy, how wonderful that would be. May they have happiness and its causes. You make that wish, and then I myself will cause them to have happiness and its causes. And then you request for Buddha, Guru Buddha, to bless you to be able to do so. And then once you spend some time on that, and then you move on to the next one, the compassion. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were free from suffering and its causes. So you have to have some feeling in here, not just reciting the words. So you spend some time and then really wish for that. So that would be more meaningful. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were free from suffering and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. I myself will cause them to be free from suffering and its causes. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to be able to do so. So this I myself will cause them, I will do it. So because of that, you are doing all these practices. So this will inspire you to do more practices, because now you are taking the responsibility. So the difference between the the Theravada practitioner, let's say Hinayana or Hinayana practitioners, compassion and Mahayana compassion, the difference is that even though both compassion wishes others to be happy, but there is no, the taking of responsibility. I will make them happy, I will free them happy. That there is this difference. So here it is Mahayana practice. So you're saying that I will make it happen. And then how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were never separated from the happiness of higher rebirth and liberation. May they never be separated from these. I myself will cause them never to be separated from these. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to be able to do so. So this is the third preliminary practices or the preparatory practices. So first you sit down with that correct posture, and then you generate, first go for refuge, and then generate bodhicitta, and then generate all these, these wishes, the 4 wishes or the 4 immeasurables. Okay, we will stop here. Yeah.
Like some more water, some more hot water.
Good morning. And you are the diehards. So thank you very much for being really persistent. And as I always say, to commit time on Sunday is not easy. But you have been doing this for the past, I think it's for almost 1 year now. That's very good. That's very good. And it is good that we are doing something. We are committing some time on Dharma practices. That's very important.
Sound is off.
Let me just put it in. Is it better?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I was saying that it is really important and meaningful to commit some time on Dharma things, because we live in a very, very busy world. Most people have no time. Still.
It went off and now it goes up.
What's happening?
I don't know, I was having fun with it this morning, so I don't know.
Oh, so it's the sound system problem, is it?
Call Ken.
It's good now, don't worry.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we know that in this world, how many people? 7 billion people. They say 7 billion people. And imagine how many at this time are doing practice, are spending time on Dharma things. Very few, very few. So it is very good, because this is the thing that will really get us somewhere, something different from all our lives. In the past life, we mentioned earlier, we discussed earlier that we have taken countless lives, and we have done our best to find a way out, but somehow we were kind of misguided, or we misunderstood the way, the means to get out of this trap. But this lifetime, we can say that we actually found the right way, right means. So this is the time where we should feel fortunate and grab on this opportunity and try our best and make this life different from the past lives. And then, of course, if we do that, not only we will secure a good future, but in this very lifetime, we will be much happier. So I really appreciate your consistency and really coming for classes. That encourages me. I have mentioned before, as I think I mentioned in the beginning, that even if I'm able to encourage or help one person, that is good enough. I don't expect all 20 people to change and have a very positive effect. As long as my doing this can benefit one person, that is good. But here we have more than one. You have all shown consistency and trying your best. So that's like a reward to me, and that really pushes me to do more. And I'm always thinking, how can I do better? But sometimes you have to forgive me that I lack skills and I lack in many things. But I try my best. I just want you to know that, So, you want to share anything? You have anything to share? Maybe we have been going through this 6 preparatory practices and maybe you didn't find any opportunity. That's okay.
No, I followed last week's suggestion to do a mala for each of the 3 jewels. And, well, actually with the guru as well. And when it came to the guru, at some point, I kind of had a feeling about Geshe Aten. And about the empowerment for Tara. And so I had lapsed in that. And so I picked it up again. And it does take time, but with practice and familiarity, again, it can go faster, and I can do it in the moment. But what I'm finding is that some of these things, like even in the shower, I had the purification, mantra, coming in. And it kind of stays with me, these phrases. And it's also renewing the bodhisattva vows. And one phrase that stayed with me, it really inspired me, is to view all the sentient beings as my guests.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, it's like.
Yes.
That's we all have had guests in our homes, and we know how we are.
Yeah.
And so, so it stays with me. So I just hope that I have the courage and the discipline to keep doing it, but I'll do my best.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So that also, we can take it as a blessing from this practice, because you engage in this practice, you remember your guru, and then you also remember about the Tara's empowerment. That reminded you to renew or start your practice again. So these are, we can take it as blessings. So there's no such thing as this is a blessing and some light hits you. These are blessings. So you can see the benefit, the merit in doing these practices. And that I like that viewing all sentient beings as your guests. This is very powerful analogy. When we have a guest, how obnoxious that person is, as long as the person is your guest, you will tolerate, you will do your best, you will accommodate, you will treat them the best you can. even though you don't really approve and you don't really like the person, because he is a guest, you will do that. So if we are able to have that kind of attitude to all sentient beings, how wonderful. I think that's really good, very powerful. Thank you. Yes, please.
Just getting on that, that obnoxious guest can also teach you patience.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
But I have a therapist that's teaching me breath work for my back, for the pain. And I was talking to Carolyn and Diana about it, and I have to do it 4 times a day at least. But when I sat down and did my meditation, I was able to use that breath work that I'm being trained on for my meditation, and it made me focus so much more. And I realized the practice of breath work, how important that is. And I've done the breath work in the past, you breathe, but I don't think I've ever done it with the intent that I have done it this week with. And the results have been much more, less monkey mind and more concentration when I'm meditating.
Okay, thank you. That's very good. That's very encouraging. Yes, please.
A friend of mine in Phoenix posted some information on Facebook about an animal shelter that she follows, happens to be in Europe. And this owner of the shelter was caring for 2 elderly dogs that were dying. And she was talking about, what she was going through and what she was doing with them and helping them and staying by them and all that and comforting them and so on. And I thought that's really good. But then part of the reason I think she shared it, my friend shared it, was if you read down the comments, it was shocking how many people criticized this woman and berated her for doing this. You're wasting your time. You're actually hurting the animals more. Just put them out of their misery and get a life, sort of thing. It was very disturbing. It was very disturbing, and I had to post, in effect, say, is this how you will treat your elderly mother when she gets, goes, or you say, oh, that's, it's inconvenient. She won't know. She's, lost her mind. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's a being. And I think to myself, that's how, it was a good reminder to say, as our dog gets older, and I imagine how we would go through that. And I'd like that to be, that kind of commitment to another being. I say it's a contract. You take on a pet. It's like having a marriage or having a child. You've contracted with another being for care and so on. You just don't walk away from them when it's inconvenient. But the number of people who seem to have that attitude was very disturbing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So, of course, this is not to suggest that we should feel proud, but it is from all this we can feel fortunate, that, I have met Dharma and I have this, the wisdom to discern, So there are many. Yesterday I was yesterday I was talking with my relatives. They were telling me that they have a neighbor there, and they have this bird there. In order to feed the bird, they send their daughter to hunt for these earthworms. So we have a saying in Tibetan, "Nyasene kilach batang." That means you kill the fish to feed a dog. So this is actually you have no understanding of karma. You are taking life in terms of earthworm. How many the lives of how many earthworms you are taking just to feed a bird. So all this, when you have understanding of Dharma, so you know what to do. And also there's this question has been about this euthanasia, the mercy killing, The one reason we are hesitant to do so is because we don't know where this person or animal is going to end up after this life. We may think that, we are freeing this person from this suffering, but we may be sending away that being to a much more, more intense suffering. So we don't know that. If that being is going to be born in hell realm, at least being here and hearing some prayers and all that, you can still benefit. So there is this reservation about, we should just go and, end the life. So anyway, just to continue with what I said before, so it is very good that, we are spending time, but to make it more worthwhile, it is good to always set a good motivation. The best motivation is to receive these teachings, listen to these teachings, so that you can accumulate merit in order to achieve enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings. So that's why before every teaching we recite this Sanje Chono Soki Chonamla. This is a refuge and bodhicitta. So you can see, you can tell that one line says that the merits I gain from listening to the teaching. So when I will say that merits gain from giving the teaching, giving Dharma. So when we do this, recite these prayers, try to have some emotion inside, some feeling inside, not just parroting the words, but have some kind of a feeling inside. Then it will be very good. Whatever time we spend well. And then we always end up with dedication. So that merit, that time, 2 hours of time we spend here, becomes a perfect Dharma practice. First of all, it has the motivation, perfect motivation, and then it ends with a dedication, proper dedication. So it's very good if we are able to do that way. So let's now dive into the topic. We have already talked about where are we now? Do you remember? We have covered the first one. We have also talked about the second, obtaining offerings without deceit and arranging them beautifully. And then last week we talked about adopting the 7-featured sitting position, taking refuge. And I think today we are at this number 4th, which is visualizing the merit field. So let me get to that. So we discuss about doing the refuge. So when we do refuge, we also have to visualize the refuge field. So in Lamrim tradition, when we do these practices, so there are two approaches. So one approach is that you can just maintain this refuge field. There is no separate field refuge. There's no separate merit field than the refuge field. So that's one approach. Another approach is at the refuge field you have this. No, when you take refuge, there is refuge field, and then when it comes to the merit, the cultivating merit, and when you offer these 7 limb prayers, you generate another separate field which we call merit field. The first one is called the refuge field, merit field. So we will talk about that. Okay, I wanted to remember we talked about this, that 9 rounds.
Yeah.
Oops, what happened? So we talked about the 9 rounds of breathing. So let's watch this clip.
그래서 루루 구두사서 지게 이셔가.
Should we do this breathing, the 9 rounds of breathing together?
What?
Would you like to do it?
Just fun. Just a fun. Oh. Then the chance kujakar yoji check him to stay. Those people go on chair and all right, not problem. Always problem. That's enough. The Naroba's 6 yoga practice. So these practices quite clearly mentioned. That's enough. La kuzuche.
Hold your hand and form a fist with your thumb inside.
You see, thumb. You see,
the ring finger at the base of the ring finger. Press your thumbs on the base of the ring fingers.
Now those kuzu.
And then make a fist.
While I do, you see, just as a copy. This is Remasu. Oh, this hand.
First to the right, left. First to the left.
So, here. The first one. Now second. Now this side. Oh, right hand and left hand. Now both, now hand like this. Now here, one difference is when
breathing in.
Breathing in the way.
No.
In, like this. With out, like that. Now again 3 times. Okay. So this practice, I think you can do, particularly when your mind a little bit sort of disturbed or turbulence, right?
No.
Agitated. Then completely forget about the causes and just as a concentrated breathing and do that. That could be something like tranquilizer. the disturbed mind somehow neutralize, right? Like that. So of course, then there's a according to the tantric practitioner, if you see there's someone who really seriously practice tantrayana, then of course we have to visualize the as I mentioned earlier, lalana, rasana, avaduti, then these chakras, and then this certain area here or here or here. This is some letter, slippers, like that. Or here, okay, like that.
So this is more of a tantric practice. So the breathing that we normally do is more of a sutra practice. This is a tantric practice. So if you are interested in doing this, you can add on the visualization. So when you do this 9 rounds of breathing, what you can do is you can visualize these 3 channels, the wind channel, the central channel, and then the 2 parallel, the channels. So when you first breathe in from your right nostril, or right nostril, you can imagine first, of course, we have this channel. Channel is starting from we call this secret area. From there goes up to the nose. Actually, I think it comes out the nose. And even though there are these chakras, but at this time, no need to visualize these chakras. Just visualize the channel itself, wind channel. So when you breathe in from your right, you visualize that the wind or the breath traveling from the right channel. Then when you breathe out, it is going out from the left. So you just follow. When you're breathing from the right, it's the right channel. Breathing out from left, it goes out from the left channel. And then likewise, if you breathe from the left, you imagine the wind traveling or wind going up from this channel. And then when it comes to breathing from both, so at that time you visualize you are breathing in, all that air goes into your central channel, and then comes out from the 2 side ones. So that's you can add in. That's if you are interested. So now, today we are going to talk about the merit field. So we have already, so this is like the essence of the practice. This is the main practice. Even though this is the preliminary practices and what we call the preparatory practices, there are six types of preparatory practices. But I think that this is the essence of that. This is where we really focus on purification and accumulating merit. So in order to do that, we need to generate the merit field. So, of course, I have explained the benefits of doing all this, so I won't go into detail. But it is, if I am to sum up all that, it is like, until now, you are riding on a bullock cart, which is very slow, and it takes long time to get to your destination. And then when you do these practices, it's like suddenly you are getting a Ferrari. It's so fast. So that's why you see, it's like you are now being able to afford to buy a Ferrari, and then your journey will be much faster and more efficient, less time consuming. So that's the whole point here. So now how do we do that? So there are different systems. I think we will stick to the simple one. So there is one according to Lama Choba's merit field. So that is very elaborate. But if you follow strictly Lamrim Chemo, Lama Tsongkhapa's Lamrim Chemo, it is much simpler. So we will follow that. If you are interested here, I think this in APMT, there's Lama Choba text. In there you will find this, and it is listed and numbered, so it is very easy. So I won't go into that. So what I am suggesting is we do this in Lama Choba. There are different lamas. We have the practice lineage, we have what else? Practice lineage, and then also another. There are 5 different lineages of lama. We won't try to do that because it is too complicated. We will follow Lamrim Chemo, where it suggested that only visualize 2 lineages. One is the method lineage, one is the wisdom lineage. So only these 2 lineage lamas. So of course the method lineage is headed by Maitreya and Asanga, and then all that lineage. And the wisdom lineage is headed by Manjushri, and then Nagarjuna, Arya Deva, and then the rest follow. So you just need to imagine 2. So how are we going to generate this? So first visualize Buddha. Of course, this is said that you visualize the throne, which is supported by 8 lions, a very spacious throne, and then in the center you have the Shakyamuni Buddha. But of course, this is in reality, in nature, is your root guru, but in the aspect or in the form of Shakyamuni Buddha. Then at Buddha's right, so yours left, at Buddha's right, you first visualize. So from Buddha's heart, you have this cloud, and on that cloud, so in the center, you have Maitreya Buddha, surrounded by Asanga, and then the rest of the Lama. That's on the Buddha's right side. On the Buddha's left side, we have the wisdom lineage Lamas. So, of course, the main is at the center we have Manjushri, surrounded by Nagarjuna and the rest of the Lama. So that's the 2. And then in front of Buddha, you can visualize your guru, what we call the direct guru and indirect, is it? Where you receive teachings directly, or let's put it, your root guru and your other gurus. So in my case, let's say I just visualize this. Of course, this is just a symbol. So you can do that. So whoever lamas you have received teachings, you can visualize that in front of Buddha. And then surrounded by, you can just do, because if we are, let's not say that. So then surrounded by the deities, the highest yoga tantra deities and all that. And then next tier is surrounded by bodhisattvas, and then another layer or another round circle of what do you call the arhats, and what you call that? What's that? You know, we have three types: bodhisattva, Shivaka, and then Sharvaka. There's another one, Pratigya Buddha, surrounded by those. And then at the last row, there are the protectors. So that you can visualize. That's easy to do that. So main point is that the center figure, which is in the form of Buddha, you must imagine that as your root guru, inseparable. So that is the Guru Yoga practice. So if you are not able to do that, then it may not be that powerful. So even though it appears in Buddha's form, but in reality, your own root guru. So that's your merit field. So you generate that before you do any of these, the following 7 limbs prayer. So you visualize this in front, up somewhere, what do you call that? Directly around this your what do you call forehead, in front of your forehead, and then you visualize all that. And it is very important to imagine that they are there, and then also you can imagine that they are smiling at you. They are happy that you are doing this. So in Lamrim teachings it says that actually there is, from our own, what we normally do, there is no reason for Buddha to be really happy with us, because we really don't follow Buddha's advice. We all the time do the opposite. But this time there is a reason for Buddha to be happy, because we are trying to do something now. We are trying to do these practices to purify negativities and also to cultivate merits, so that we can achieve enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings. So Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, your gurus, there is reason to be smiling at you, to be happy about what you are doing. So it is good for the auspicious reason. It is good to visualize that they are really happy and smiling at you. So once you have this, then we offer what is called the 7 limb prayers. So I think we all do that in our prayers. So I won't go into much detail, because we need to finish this week, if not by next week. So we will try to finish as much as possible this time and today, and then I think the mandala part we will do next Sunday. And if you have mandala, bring here, and then we can just do kind of practice as well. I am trying to focus on this bit more, because you have noticed that we are going to do a retreat at the end of this semester, and I wanted to focus on these practices for 2 days, just to taste, to have a bit of taste of these practices. So the first is prostration. So we offer these practices by reciting these prayers from the King of Prayers. So the first part, which is the 7 limb prayers, so it begins with prostration. So it's a you line among humans. So there are 4 stanzas which is about prostrations. You are making homage to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and all those in your merit field. So the first stanza is making homage through 3 doors, like speech, by offering physical homage through speech and also through mind. So then goes on to say, what are these? So when we make prostrations to Buddha, we visualize that, the numberless of Buddhas in front of you, and then you also manifest into countless bodies. It is you, but you imagine there are multiple duplicates of you. So they all are making these prostrations to Buddha. So that is offering homage to Buddha through your body. And then when it comes to offering homage to Buddha through mind, that is mainly praising Buddha's wisdom or the Buddha's quality. Here it says that on every atom are Buddhas, numberless as atoms, each amidst a host of Bodhisattvas, and I am confident the sphere of all phenomena is entirely filled with the Buddhas in this way. So normally when we talk about Buddha's quality, so one of the quality is that there is not a single atom where Buddha does not exist. Wherever Buddhas wisdom or mind reaches, there is a Buddha. So Buddha is omniscient mind. And as Buddha is omniscient, mind is omniscient, the Buddha is also omnipresent wherever. And then we are, not only Buddha is everywhere on each atom, and also Buddha having these, helping sentient beings, giving teachings and helping sentient beings, liberating sentient beings. In order to liberate sentient beings, Buddhas are engaged in these deeds. So these are the Buddha's qualities. So when we remember that, we are offering Buddha a homage through mind. And then through speech. So this is you imagine again, you manifest, I don't know whether that's the right word or not, manifest your body. Does it make sense? You actually, you multiply, you imagine that, there are thousands of yourself, and then, of course, each body has each mouth and all this. So you are singing praise to Buddha. So that's how you do. So normally, we read this. I read this all the time, and most of you also read. But do we rarely think this way? We rarely visualize. We rarely imagine. So there were times where I think it happens to all of us. When we do 6 yoga guru session prayer, sometimes I'm in the middle of this. I was distracted. I was like, is this the 3rd time? Or is this the 4th time? Or am I still on the 1st time? First round. So we are like that. So this is the time where, when we do these prayers, we try to visualize. Then it becomes very powerful. Otherwise, it is just parroting. So that's how we should be doing. So in relation, in this context, so of course when we do preliminary practices, people do a lot of prostrations. There is this common practice of doing 100,000 prostrations. And many people go to Bodh Gaya and do all these prostrations. And many people, especially those who have gastric problems, it is very common in Tibetan community for some reason. We call it pone, ponaza. But when you go to a Western doctor, they will say it's a gastric problem. They couldn't really pinpoint. But I think recently they said, it is because of this helicobacteria or something. It is through the water contaminated. They say that will solve the problem. So anyway, Tibetans believe that is, we call it lene, it's karmic sickness. Of course, everything is karmic sickness. But for this one, we name this, label this as karmic sickness. And one of the antidote or the cure is to go and do 100,000 prostrations. And there are many people who are healed, who are cured after doing this. So this also go on to show that these prostrations do help us purify our negativities. So this is very common. Yes, please.
Pardon me for interrupting, but I used to teach at a local college, which is a religious college.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty well known that I was Buddhist. I was accepted. One day in the hallway, one of the religion teachers stopped me. And he said, I saw some video of some Tibetan people going down the road and bowing and going, and they said, what were they being punished for? I thought, wait, what's he talking about? No. They're not being punished at all. And he said, that was so horrible. Why would they be punished?
Yeah. So why I showed all these 3 kinds, you can see that the area they do all these prostrations is very rough. And it's not just 5 minutes or 10 minutes. They're doing for days and days. And if you watch more of the second piece, this lady will come to where she has to cross the stream. There's a stream passing by, and still, she was trying to do over that as well. So I was hoping that, when we see this, we get inspired. If these people can do on that kind of surface, why can't we do in an air-conditioned home? This is very common practice in Tibet, and many people have this protrusion here. That is all because of prostrations. And many people, especially those who are going on pilgrimage to Lhasa from Kham, they will do that all the way to Lhasa for months and months. And it is not what you call being stupid or being orthodox, or they really believe in this power, and it is true. First of all, prostration, sometimes we ask, prostration is not unique in Buddhism. You have this prostration in every religion. I think it really helps to reduce our ego, our pride. In order to bow to somebody, you need to have a small ego. If you are arrogant, if you have a huge ego, it is very difficult to bow. Not to mention offering prostrations, really bowing so low. So this also helps to deal with our ego. Of course, ego is also one causes of our problems. Because of our ego, we all the time end up fighting and quarreling, because you cannot accept a person saying that you are not right. You are like, how could I be wrong? I am so and so and so. So this is where the ego is playing its role. So there are many benefits. So if you are able to do 1,000, 100,000 times, very good. If not, at least it is good to do 3 prostrations daily. The best, of course, if you can do 1 set in the morning and another set in the before going to bed. So that serve as an antidote to whatever negative actions that you have committed that day. Normally when we do purification, we try not to let the action pass 12 hours. So if you do 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, before going to bed, then whatever you have done in that day, you have done that. You have done the antidote, you have applied the antidote. And then if you do in the morning, whatever you have done between that time, you are countering those negative actions. So it is good to do in the morning. So even though you all know, but I just want to emphasize that, first of all, it is not like this. When you make your palms, put your palms, it is not like this. This we call non-Buddhist gesture. You need to bring this in and make it look like what we call jewel, wish-fulfilling jewel. And then with that, you go first on your crown. So there are 2 practice. One, only you touch 3 points, other you touch 4 points. So if you go by touching 4 on the 4 points, so first is your crown, and then your forehead here. This is where what we call this coiled hair, one of the Buddha's quality. Here, and then here, and then here, heart. So if you do 3, so this represents body, Or some say this represents creating the auspiciousness to achieve Buddha's unisha. It's called that producing Buddha's, we call Tsuktor. And then, of course, it's body, speech, and mind. So, what we need to visualize or think is that when we do this, we have to kind of pray that, whatever the negativities that I have committed through body be purified. And then when you put your hands or palms to your throat, then you say, whatever negativities that I have created through speech, may all that be purified. And then here same, whatever negative karma that I have created through mind, be purified. You do that one time. And then at the same time, when you do this, may I receive all the Buddha's body qualities of Buddha's, Buddha's blessings of blessings of Buddha's body, or to achieve the qualities of Buddha's body, and then to achieve qualities of Buddha's speech, to achieve qualities of Buddha's mind or wisdom. So that's how we do that. Then it becomes good practice. And when you go down, it is always advised that try not to stay there too long. It kind of inauspicious if you stay too long, because it says that it creates what you call kind of imprint to be born in lower realms. So you just go down, come up fast. So that's the practice. So that's prostration. And then, what do you see here? Offerings, is it? Okay, good. Yes, please.
If you can't go down physically because you can't get up,
yeah.
How, if you just visualize?
Yes, you visualize, and you can just do all this, and you can just kind of bow.
Okay, so you should do your
Yes, that one, because you can do it,
Okay.
Because it each has its specific visualization or prayers. So you remember these prayers, and then instead of going down, you can just do a gesture. So the bodily, physical prostrations, there are many types. Even with gesture, making your hands together is also a physical prostrations, because it is all about showing respect. And then offering. Remember, we talked about how motivation is so important. How all these worldly concerns, if you have these motivated by worldly concerns, then you may not really achieve much merit. But here, one different thing is, when it comes to offering, especially when you have generated the merit field, so even if your motivation is not so pure, it said that you will still benefit, you will still accumulate the merit. It is because, it says, because of the power of the merit field. So you can see that even your motivation is not correct. Many of the practices, we said, you need to have the right motivation and all this, and all this must be present. But here, when it comes to making offerings, it says that as long as you make offerings, because of the power of the merit field, you will accumulate a lot of merits. So why not grab that opportunity when we have difficulty having a perfect motivation? So, of course, offerings, there are all kinds of offerings. You can offering water balls, which we have already discussed before. And then you can offer light. That we said that offering light represents eliminating ignorance and illuminating the wisdom, illuminating our darkness of the ignorance. So when you offer light, you can visualize that may this illuminate the darkness caused by ignorance. May all this become a cause for all sentient beings to gain wisdom, perfect wisdom. So here we have it says sweet music, scented oils, parasols, sparkling lights, and sublime incense I offer to you, victorious ones. Fine dress, fragrant perfumes, sandalwood powder heaped high as Mount Meru, all wondrous offerings in spectacular array I offer to you, victorious ones. So these are what we call the conventional offerings. And then we have something called, shall I say, mundane offerings. Then we have something called supramundane offerings. So supramundane offering, normally we say that it is actually doing practice. It is putting into practice what Buddha taught. So that is the best offering. So the best offering you can offer to Buddha or even to your guru is if you heed their advice, if you follow the advice and put effort in practicing. That will be the best thing, because all this offering is to make Buddha happy. Whoever you are offering to, it is to make them happy, to please them. So what would please them most is if you do something worthwhile, some Dharma practice, if you really practice what they have suggested. So that would really please them. So that's what we call supramundane offerings. So you can, but of course you cannot be just contented at all, I just want to practice and that's all I want to offer. I don't want to engage in these mundane offerings. That's also wrong. If you can afford, if you can do it, why not do it? So you can offer flowers, you can offer incense, you can offer lights, you can offer perfume, all kinds of. And then you see out there a nice flower, you can just pluck and offer all that. And of course, we say that offering flowers, next life you will be very born attractive.
Last night we were talking about in the Anattara Yoga teaching from Roger Jackson. He mentioned the results from the merit field, and he said that at least from what he said, it encourages, it ripens, and it produces enlightenment.
It produces.
Yes, I mean the end result would be the Namakaya. I mean, we were talking about the Kayas.
Yeah, of course, all this goes towards getting there. And next one is the confession. Okay, let's first have our tea and then we will continue. Seven limb prayers, it says that every harmful action I have done with my body, speech and mind, overwhelmed by attachment, anger and confusion, all these I openly lay bare before you. So this is the confession. I think I've already mentioned before that, even though we put effort in our practices, but most of the time we are unable to gain new realizations, and sometimes whatever the realizations we have, it kind of diminishes, it goes down. So it is said that all this is because that we have lots of defilements, lot of negativities, lot of non-virtue actions that we create on daily basis, and that serve as a blockage. So that's why we are unable to gain, first of all, we are unable to gain realization at all, or even if we are, it is with much hardship and difficulty. So that is why it is important to engage in purification practices. So the benefit of engaging in purification practices is that a powerful purification can eliminate even the root of our negative actions, so that we will never experience the result of that negative karma. And even if it is not a very powerful one, even if it's just a medium one, it can make the results lighter. So that's why I always share with people that, sometimes when we don't understand the workings of karma, we may wonder how come these great beings in monastery, this great Lama, that great Lama, comes down with all kinds of sicknesses. There are many great Lamas who passed away due to not very common sicknesses. Of course, many pass away with cancer, and also my own teacher who passed away due to Parkinson, and that was a terrible disease. You lose all the muscle strength, and you cannot even really support yourself. It was so painful. Then you wonder, how come these are really great beings, great practitioners, why do they suffer like this? And look at this and that person who always engage in negative actions and still looks healthy and appears to die peacefully. But if you have understanding of karma, then you will understand that these lamas, what they do is, of course, this life they were great beings, they were great practitioners, but before this life they had taken so many lives before this one, and during that time they have also amassed, lots of negative actions, non-virtue, and so they have to either experience the result, or they have to really eliminate the causes of that. So through practice, this life, when they have all this understanding and realization, so they really work on purifying all that negativities they have amassed in the past. So what happened is, many of these negative actions, they are able to really eliminate from the root, so that they don't experience at all. And then there are those negative karmas that they are unable to cut it from the root, but they are able to lighten it. So let's say if that particular negative action was supposed to bring the person to lower realms, but because of the practices, they experience in a lighter form. They experience in this life in a form of sickness. So some people, let's say, if you have karma to be killed with a gun, gunshot at your head, but through practice, you may end up having a severe headache instead. So this is what it means by what is meant by weakening or lightening the result. So that is the medium, the benefit of engaging in medium intense purification. And even if your purification doesn't do all the first two, but at least it will stop or prevent your negative karma from multiplying. So you see, you have the three benefits. First is to eliminate the root from the root, just to really eradicate that negative karma from the root. Even if not, it will lighten the result. Even it cannot do that, at least it will put a stop from multiplying. So there are these benefits. For these reasons, in Buddhist practice, we see that there's a lot of emphasis on purification practice. So we have covered this in our earlier classes, so I won't go into detail. But of course, in order to have effective purification, these four elements, four components need to be present. The first is the power of basis. That we, as a Buddhist, we have the basis, the power of basis we normally count as refuge and bodhicitta. The reason is that the sentient beings and the three jewels are the basis of our, let's put it this way. We create negative karmas in relation to sentient beings or three jewels. So those karmas that we create in relation to three jewels, like lack of respect to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and all those transgressions. So through taking refuge, with the refuge we are able to counter that. And then in the negative karmas that we have created in relation to other sentient beings is through generating bodhicitta. So that's why we call this the first, the power of basis. And then power of repudiation or regret. That is repent, to have this strong remorse. So this is very important. The more powerful your remorse is, you are more likely to repeat that action, or what is called the power of restraint. So I always talk about this bottle of poison. So let's say if we have gone through this kind of experience, you go to a restaurant, you eat something from there, and then you had a bad food poisoning, you have a bad tummy ache. What happens? You will never go back to that restaurant. You will never eat from there. So it's like this. When we have this kind of regret that I shouldn't have eaten in this restaurant, I shouldn't have ordered that food, you are more likely not to do that again. So we need to have this regret. And in order to have that kind of remorse or repent, is if you have really understanding of the workings of karma with conviction. At the moment, we have this superficial understanding. Oh yes, karma is certain. If you engage in negative karma, you will experience negative results, negative consequences, you will suffer. But if you want to be happy, if you do virtuous actions, you will be happy and all this. We know that. But for most of us, it remains at the intellectual level. We don't have this conviction. Because we don't have this conviction, we take everything lightly. We will just continue engaging in negative actions. If we really have this strong conviction, we will really act differently. We will see all these negative actions completely different. We will really, really stay away from engaging from these negative actions. We will restrain ourselves. But why we are continue doing that is because we don't have this level of conviction. So sometimes we wish that karma is kind of instant. You do this thing, boom, it happens. We will never do that. That will be a best thing. But unfortunately, karma does not work that way. It takes time to ripen. So if we want to have this strong power, a strong repentance. If we want to cultivate a strong repentance, we need to contemplate on the workings of karma. Only then we will be able to have this strong remorse or regret. And with that, then we will rest in ourselves. So that would be the best teacher. So some things, when we experience that, then we are more likely to rest in ourselves. And other things, when we don't really experience ourselves, no matter wherever you read that, no matter where you hear about it, no matter who repeatedly tells you, you will continue doing that. So it is important. And then the final one is the power of applying the antidote. We talked about that. There are various ways to do that. So in this practice, normally the common practice is to do prostrations while reciting the names of 35 Buddhas. So that's considered a very powerful means to purify, or powerful antidote. Antidote. And another one common practice is Vajrasattva practice. So of course you can see now that the first part is purely from the Sutrayana perspective, and then we bring in the Tantrayana. So if you are interested in bringing in the Tantra practice, then this is the one, Bodhisattva practice. So we hear this we hear that a lot of time, that this Buddha is good for that Buddha is good for that. So you wonder why, aren't they, Buddha, are they same Buddha? I mean, same in that, didn't they, achieve the same Buddhahood? Why some are more effective in this, and whereas the others are not? So this is all. It's not because some Buddhas are more powerful, and some have more effective in. No, I won't say effective. Some have more power and more potential. It is all because of their pledges, their pledge, and their promises and their prayers that they made while in the path, while in their journey to Buddhahood. Some have made special prayers that, may I be able to help sentient beings through healing in terms of medicine Buddha. Some say, may I be able to liberate sentient beings by helping them with their wisdom, like Manjushri. And then some, may I be able to help sentient beings, especially helping them in their purification. Whoever recites my name, may they be able to purify negativities that they have created in many lifetimes. So like Bodhisattvas, not Bodhisattva, Vajrasattva. So because of these various and unique prayers, so when we engage in that particular practice, it becomes more effective. That is the reason. So you can do purification practice through Tara. It is okay. You can do that. But it is said that because of the Vajrasattva's pledge or prayers and promises, it is more effective, and it is, what is called? We call it nyur. That means speedy for us to receive their blessings. So I'm sure most of you do this practice. So if you want to do, then of course there is this Vajrasattva practices. The visualization is that you visualize Vajrasattva in front Vajra position. Anyway, I won't go into detail because you know what Vajrasattva looks like. So when it comes to the recitation, so here you see on the moon disk at Vajrasattva's heart stands a hum. This is the hum. And then around that, encircled by a garland of the Bodhisattva, the Vajrasattva's mantra, what is called the 100-syllable mantra, Vajrasattva. And a powerful stream of white nectar. So when you recite the mantra, what happens is a powerful stream of white nectar flows from the hum and the mantra garland, and then it enters into you through your crown, and then cleanse all the negative karmas, as well as obscurations and the results of the negative karma. So that's how you do the visualization. And now the other limb of the seventh prayer is rejoicing. We hear all the time that, oh, to be a Buddhist is not an easy, let's put it this way, it's not easy to be a Buddhist because there is always, you become responsible for your deeds. You are accountable for all that actions. If anything undesirable happens, it comes back to say that it's your fault. And there is always emphasis that, you have to work hard, you have to put effort. You won't gain anything, without hard work. We hear that all the time. But there is one thing that doesn't require effort. One thing that we can do while lying on our bed. We don't need to put any effort. That is rejoicing. It says, in the prayer it says, I rejoice in all the merit, whatever it may be, of all the Buddhas of the 10 directions, Bodhisattvas, Pratika Buddhas, those with more to learn, those with no more to learn, and all ordinary beings. Here we are rejoicing the merits accumulated by all beings. So in Lama Tsongkhapa, in one of his prayers, he says that Beba chungu labjin so duba kela yirang, kela jesu yirang chodo songs. Is with little effort that can amass a lot of merit is rejoicing others' merit, rejoicing in merits. So this one is very good, especially for people like me who doesn't like to put effort. Just lie in bed and then just think of, oh, this and oh, it's so great, oh, it's very good. Just rejoice. And what will happen is, if the person who is at the same level of the realization, if it's the person's level of realization is same to you, then you will achieve the same amount of merit. That's so good. You don't have to spend, let's say if somebody spends thousands of dollars and did a big offering, and here you just sit here and quietly rejoice. You also accumulate the same amount of merit without spending $1 million. How wonderful that is. But let's say if the person is higher than you, their realization is higher than you, then it says that you will at least acquire half of the merit of that person. Not bad, isn't it? So So I thought this is such a wonderful thing. But how often we do that? We have this tendency, remember we talked about. Many people have this tendency that when you see others, we always have this, say that to your same, if you are your colleagues and all this, you tend to have this competition, and then somebody is doing better, you have this jealousy and all that. And then if somebody is below you, of course, you berate and all that, look down on the person. But many times we fail to rejoice in others' merit. So there are two ways to rejoice. So the first one is rejoicing over one's own virtue. So imagine we have now achieved this human rebirth. We must have something good in the past. We must have accumulated good merits. That's why we have this precious human rebirth. And then not only that, we met Buddha Dharma. According to Buddhism, it is very difficult unless you have a really strong merit. One won't be able to meet Buddha Dharma. And then you have facilities, external facilities. You can afford to come for classes. That's also a result of your merit. So all this, I have done good merit. So just rejoicing your own merit is also a way of multiplying your merits. It is not, about, inflating your ego. So you should not use this, I'm so great, I have done so much practices. Not that, but just to say, it's great that, I have done, I must have accumulated a lot of merits. And even when you, after this class, you say, I'm so happy, I have spent 2 hours doing some Dharma practice, something meaningful. That is rejoicing. So what will happen is, when you rejoice your own merit, it will encourage you to do more. That is the main purpose, not to, make your ego or pride inflate.
If we do I like to do that. If we do the white pebbles and the dark pebbles, it really, you can see it, and that's a chance to see what you've done, and then you can have just a good feeling.
Yes. So another way is, whether you use the pebble or not, at least, before going to bed, you reflect the day. And if you find that you have done something virtual or virtuous, you rejoice. That will, increase your merit. And then, of course, another way is rejoice over the virtue of others. That person has done 3 years retreat. That's so great. May I be able to do so. So there's this story of, I don't remember exactly the name of the Indian king. So during Buddha's time, he was the main benefactor. He was able to make offerings to Buddha and Buddha's followers. But the seed was planted when he was a woodcutter. At that time, it was a different Buddha's time, but he was born as a woodcutter. He didn't have much money. He is barely surviving. But when he saw that other rich people inviting Buddha and Buddha's followers for a feast and making all that, and he rejoiced in this merit and make prayers that may I be able to do such in the future. So normal practice is, when you invite sanghas to your place and offer meals, so at the end they will do dedication. So Buddha started to dedicate that woodcutter's merit. And people like, he is not, today's sponsor is this person. He said, no, actually the one who really did virtue or merit is that woodcutter. He rejoiced in that, whereas obviously that whoever invited the Buddha and the disciples, I think maybe the motivation is not right. So Buddha said that the actual person who created virtue was that person. And after many lives later, when Shakyamuni Buddha came to the world, he was born as one of the wealthy kings, and he was able to offer and make a lot of offerings to Buddha and Buddha's followers. So you see, just rejoicing that you can accumulate a huge amount of merit. So that's about merit. And then requesting the wheel of Dharma to be turned. So it says, I implore all the protectors, lights of the world in the 10 directions who have reached Buddhahood, which is without attachment, to turn the peerless wheel of the teachings. So we talked about the turning the wheel of Dharma. So Buddha achieved enlightenment, but he didn't teach for 49 days until Buddha was requested by Devas. So it is always good to create this karmic connections to meet Dharma and to receive Dharma by making these requests to teach. And then we have a supplication not to enter nirvana. So Buddhas, they have freedom over death. They can choose when to die or when, how long to live. So I think the Ananda, when Buddha passed away, Ananda was punished for his 8 faults. One of the fault was not making this request. Buddha hinted several times that Buddha will live if you make a request. But he was so, influenced by Maras that he couldn't see things clearly. He couldn't get that meaning. So he didn't, because he was the attendant to Buddha. So he didn't make that request. So he was later banished from the Sangha community, and he had to do meditation for, I think, years. So we have to make requests. That's why we have long life pujas for lamas. When lama is not well, all this, we make this special request for lama to live long. And many lamas, it is, of course, there are so many things. It's interdependence. Many things come together for this. So when students make the request with sincere heart, and then Lama also sees the reason to live long, and because of all this coming together, causes and condition, somehow Lama can be able to live longer. So that's why there's every year, I think there are so many long life pujas or requests offered to His Holiness. And we have heard that His Holiness made the promise that at least he will live for 100 years. So the text says, I supplicate with palms joined in prayer, those wishing to demonstrate their final nirvana, please stay as many eons as there are atoms to benefit and bring happiness to all beings. So this is very important. In monastery, one time, my teacher and also a former Ganden, is the 100th Ganden throne holder. So he served his term for 7 years, and then he retired from that post. but he was still alive. Normally, when you finish your Gandhin, that is this Tiba term, you are already very old because you have to wait so long to get there. But Rinpoche was healthy and lived. But then, towards the end, later, few years later, Rinpoche was sick, and I have this Lama friend who frequently visits Rinpoche, and he says that he always tells Rinpoche, when Rinpoche asks, "Oh, how are things? What is the news?" He said that he always tell Rinpoche really good news, as things are going so well, everything is all there. He says it's very important because when you inform Rinpoche of all this, the bad news, things not going well, he says, "Oh, monks are not doing well, this and this happening," then they will kind of, "Oh, now no point, you see, no point living. Because there's nothing I can do, I better, go somewhere else where I can be of more health, more benefit." So that's why it's very important to make these requests, and then they can choose to live longer. And then finally, dedication. Whatever little merit I have accumulated by prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and supplication, I dedicate it all to enlightenment. So dedication is very important. We always say, there are two important deeds, one in the beginning, one at the end. One in the beginning is the motivation, setting up a proper motivation. And the end is the dedication. So what happens is, if we don't dedicate our merits, it gets destroyed. We are prone to anger. When we get anger, it destroys our merits. So that's why when Buddha explained how powerful this prostration is, how meritorious that is, then one of the disciples asked, if that is so meritorious, how come people are still lingering in samsara? Why couldn't they achieve enlightenment? I say, yes, even though this practice is so powerful and all that, but people, first of all, don't do dedication, and they all the time get angry, and anger destroys the merits. So it's like one instant of anger, it says it destroys the merits that you have accumulated for eons. Imagine that. You have worked so hard, saved, and then in one instance, all gone. But what happens is, if you dedicate your merits, then anger cannot destroy. So the analogy is that if you pour a drop of water in the ocean, that drop of water will mix in the ocean water, and it will remain there until the ocean dries up. Whereas if you pour that on the dry surface outside, it will instantly dry. So likewise, any merit that we dedicated towards achieving enlightenment will remain until we achieve enlightenment. So you see the importance of dedicating our merits. So there are many ways to do dedication. If you know how to do, it's very good. If not, there's always this prayer. Whatever the three Buddhas considered the best way to dedicate, may I dedicate my merits like that. And also like whatever Samindabhadra dedicated, the way Samindabhadra dedicated the merits, I will also dedicate. And if you don't know, even though it's just to say that whatever merit I have cultivated or accumulated, may that become a cause to achieve enlightenment. That's good. So you have dedicated your merit to become a cause to achieve enlightenment. That's good enough. You do that. That's about it. So that concludes this generating the visual fields, generating the merit field, and then offering the 7 limb prayers. And the next one is offering mandala and then making this special request, which we will do next Sunday. Any questions? If not, we will do our prayers.
One question there, sir.
Yes.
In regards to the anger destroying eons of merit, would, in the sense that, in the opposite, when you're creating virtue, would that construct an infinite amount of merit in the opposite? Instead of destroying it, you actually create it?
No. You first accumulate merit, and then, so let's say you attended teaching today, and from there, with your motivation, with correct motivation, you could have accumulated a good merit. And then after you go in there, and then somebody says something nasty, and you burst into anger, so it says that it's gone.
It's gone, right?
Yeah, if you have not dedicated that merit.
Right. But I was just wondering if you turn the analogy around and you said one moment of positive virtue could continues the inseparability of form and space. For instance, like you were saying that there remains, it can remain, meaning like the two kayas remaining, as form and space, as an analogy of just if you say that one moment of anger can destroy an eon of merit, then could you also say the opposite? Could also say the opposite of one moment of virtue could create an infinite amount of virtue that would remain.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just a question.
That one I don't know. But in the text it says that, yeah, if you have this, get angry, that instant, one instant of anger can destroy.
But you can mitigate it with, with the opponent powers and so, you mitigate it. It doesn't mean you erase it, but you can lessen it.
Yeah, of course, the purification, all this is talking about the negative actions. You will mitigate the result of the negative actions.
Right.
You will be able to eradicate those negative actions. But it's the other way around. We are talking about negative actions destroying our merit.
Yeah, that's the difference. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's do the dedication. Kodo Tambo. Sashi Peshi Redwe. Sashi Peshi Seju Saya.
Short mandala.
Oh.
Let's do the short mandala offering first. Sashi Peshi.
Joje Medo Dhamma Rera Linje Nyende Gem.